Good morning. China and Russia are setting up a multi-country land grain corridor, which will stitch together Eurasian rail and inland hubs and terminals. The advantages to both China and Russia are pretty obvious. China can get more food for less money, sourced closer to home, and Russia can find export markets that are not subject to Western sanctions. Last May, they signed a grain contract of $25 billion with expectations for 70 million tons of Russian grains and oils over 12 years. Looking here, China is still the biggest importer of wheat in the world, and last year imported 12 million tons. More than 6 million tons came from the US, Canada, and France. Later in the report, Inner Mongolia is a province of China, different from the country. Inner Mongolia forecasts that Russian grain imports to that terminal will be 8 million tons a year when it's fully open. Russia then could completely replace North America and France in China's supply chain. And again, our farmers would not have any idea that this was happening at all. Russia is about to take 8 million tons of grains off our markets. And because it's not going to be settled in Chicago or London or settled in USD or Euro, we won't even see it. So Russia has two objectives here. One is to displace the United States, Australia, and France in China's supply chain for agricultural products. The second is to use these new inland logistics hubs to supply all of Asia. Both of those objectives benefit China too. They get another supply of foodstuffs, which is closer, from a country that's friendlier, and they're willing to settle the business in Chinese renminbi instead of US dollars or euro. And it's a revenue center for Russian grain supplies to South Asia, who are going to be using Chinese rail and logistics through China's inland provinces. This is also big news to natural resource suppliers inside the BRICS and especially outside it. Russia wants to set up a BRICS grain exchange, allowing direct buys and sales with no speculators in the way and no US dollars to convert over. The settlements will be done in the national currencies of the BRICS countries, which are these countries here, plus a dozen or so more, and who represent 40% of global cereals and meats, 40% of dairy, more than half of all the seafood. So as we consider again what these development projects mean for countries outside the BRICS, giant new supply and logistics systems are being established in the parts of the world where almost all the economic growth is going to be for the rest of this century. They're building a new financial system to make all this trade happen. If you're a farmer and you grow any of the things on this list, the BRICS Grain Exchange will take all that business directly between themselves. And because that business will be direct, party to party, using blockchain and their national currencies, we're not going to know anymore what the global markets are, what the prices are. Instead of being the first to know, we will be last. And we won't be in the market at all, except as suppliers of last resort. Up till now, China bought mostly from the US and Canada and Australia first. Then they tried to fill in the gaps from Brazil and Russia. That is now being flipped over. Once these tracks get laid in Russia and in Kazakhstan, and the warehouses are built in North and West China, they're going to be full of Russian grain. Chinese warehouses in East China, they'll be supplied by Brazil. China will call us only in the event railroad conductors from Russia or ship captains from Brazil forget where they're supposed to go. This is Guangxi province, near Guilin. Be good.
Make me a man of trust and honor. Go with me as I lead my family and my loved ones to salvation, as I show them the knowledge and the gospel of Jesus. I pray for courage and strength to face temptation and trial.